Tigers, Bulldogs, Saints. Welcome to DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance.
Hey, good morning from the DeKalb County High School football field house. Yes, it is episode number 1 of DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. My name is Tom Duggin, and if you don't know me, you're better off. It's good to be back home again. John Denver sang a song about that once upon a time. Kelly has no idea who that is.
I do know who that is, and I do like his music.
It's good to be back home again.
And we have been not even a minute into the telecast, and Coach is singing, so you gotta love it. For everybody that's tuned in out there, we appreciate it. Let's see. We've got 5 people watching already on the live stream, and the show. We want to tell you a little bit about the show. Before I do that, I want to introduce our host here, my co-host. Down at the far end, we'll start with him, a guy that I've worked with for a long, long time. Been a little while, Coach, but Coach Chris Vance, former DeKalb County High School football and golf coach. And, Coach, it's good to work together again.
It is, Tom. You talk about if people don't know you, then they're better off. But you have been a voice for DeKalb County sports for as long as I can remember. When I moved down here in '94, you were working with either WJLE or the Smithville Review, and you've carried that through and continue with the podcast and everything that you do. And I think that DeKalb County really owes a lot to you for recognizing players and getting their names out and making them known, as well as the coaches in the programs. You've done a great job, and thank you for having me on this.
Well, I appreciate that, and all I can say is I thank God that He's richly blessed me with great opportunities over the years to cover student athletes in DeKalb County and even beyond. But, you know, even years that I spent outside working, you know, this has always been home, and it's good to come back here, and we've got an opportunity here to share with the local folks about our local programs. And it's not just going to be high school. It's not just going to be high school football. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of all the sports, and we're going to talk to the student athletes. Today is kind of a season preview, so we do have coaches only on the show today, but we're going to be talking to a lot of the student athletes. My next co-host making her media debut, I guess.
Probably so, yes.
Kelly Pyburn, current head basketball coach at DeKalb West School, former great multi-sport athlete, probably one of the best female student athletes to ever come through DeKalb County High School. Kelly, man, it's really good to have you, and I'm glad you took this opportunity to join us two crazy guys.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. I'm not sure, as I told you, that I have the voice for this. I do want to thank you, though. You had you covered a lot of our games. I know when I was in high school, and appreciated it. Being on the radio as a kid is a big thing, and having your name called out makes you feel good. And I like that. That's kind of why I wanted to join this, because we're going to highlight some athletes from here. Sometimes I'm not going to have a clue what anybody's talking about. I'm a sports person, but like some of these sports, I don't. I know the rules and I know the gist of it. But I hope I can give some commentary that's worth.
You're going to do great. I know, and Chris and I, we were batting around names, and we're still kind of in the process of maybe looking even for a fourth host. Another female, even with some playing and coaching perspective. We're talking about things, but your name was the very first one to come up, and Chris was one that, and I'd already thought of you, but Chris mentioned your name first and foremost, and I thought this has got to be, and it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Now, just again, the premise of this show is to really put the spotlight on DeKalb County sports, and DeKalb County's been blessed over the years, and we've had a lot of great sports coverage. WJLE Radio's covered DeKalb County sports since they started, and about the time JLE started was about the time DeKalb County High School consolidated. There were 2 high schools way back when. Some of you folks out there may actually remember that. They consolidated back in 1963 or 4. And since then, JLE's been great. Of course, the local newspapers have covered sports over the years. This kind of expands on that, and we're going to get into middle school stuff. Kelly, I know you know, of course, tied with the West School. I'm not going to say there's not as much media attention to maybe the junior high programs. This, I think, gives us an opportunity to showcase even more what goes on the middle school level.
Oh yes, there's kids. I say there's always the role players that make or break your program, and sometimes they're not the kids that get highlighted in the paper or even in the stats. But as far as junior high doesn't really keep a whole lot of stats. There's usually me, and I do have an assistant coach now, and me bribing a kid usually to keep my stats, and sometimes those are very sketchy stats. But there's a lot, that we need to. There's kids. There's always role players, and you've got to have those role players to have a good program. I'm sure the football coach, the soccer, everybody. You've got to have that extra kid that'll come in. And they're maybe not the star, but they are very important. And you want to highlight them so that they'll want to continue to play in high school. Sometimes I think we don't give the kids recognition and they want to give up and they quit because somebody else is the star and I'm never going to get the chance. Well, if we give them the opportunity, we give them encouragement, they will sometimes I'll give you an example later on when we get to talking, but an example of a kid that is kind of a Michael Jordan story. Not on his level, but his work ethic between 6th grade to 7th grade made him one of the better players that ever came out of DeKalb County High School as far as for basketball. So, junior high is important. It's the building blocks. So.
It is, absolutely so. Chris, you covered a sport at DeKalb County, or you didn't cover, you coached a sport that probably didn't have a whole lot of recognition until I think you got in there. That was the golf program at DeKalb County High School. You raised the bar in terms of making sure that the student athletes got covered. I was at the newspaper, I think, when you started as a golf coach, and you were always, letting me know what was going on, updating me. I spent many afternoons riding around in a golf cart with you, watching and taking pictures of the players, and I learned more about golf sitting in a golf cart with Chris Vance than I ever knew before in my life. That, again, is kind of what this program's all about. We don't hear golf on the radio. It might be kind of interesting to try. But, we don't see local golf filmed. But this is a way, and we'll have John Pryor, the current DeKalb County coach, join us here a little bit later to get into the nuts and bolts of that program, one that you're very close to.
The DeKalb County golf community is very historic and nostalgic. It goes back to a Jim Alexander that began the program when he was as a student. He's the one that got the push for the program to ever get started. And when I took over, and I want to say, hey, this is the best girls team we've ever had, I had to have proof for that.
Sure.
And so I go to WJLE and I'm checking the archives and I'm going through stuff as late as I can and annuals, and I'm trying to find names, and then I get some emails or some messages on Facebook about, hey, these two girls went to state, not as a team, but as individuals, and I had to backtrack and give them some credit. But I did as much research as I could because I wasn't a golfer.
Right.
And I'd never considered myself a golf coach. I considered myself a manager. Yes, I'm going to hold the tryouts, and based on your score, you'll make the team or you won't. And I will make out a schedule, and then I will do my part to make sure that you get your recognition. And so we're going to the radio and the newspaper and the Tennessean, and we're going to post our scores up there because when those boys and those girls got good, I wanted the rest of the mid-state to know these guys were good. And nothing to do with me. I just wanted them to get that recognition. I think that's what this show is going to kind of do, some nostalgic moments, bring back some of that history and make sure that these unsung heroes get their type of credit that, may make them smile for a minute.
Right.
And if it does that, then I think we've accomplished what we set out to do.
Now, I want to also talk about some long-term goals. And I know if you followed me on Facebook, I've been blowing it up about the podcast and looking for sponsors. This is a twofold thing. Understand something. This is going to be a local-based program. It's all about DeKalb County. It's all about DeKalb County sports. Now, when I'm out here soliciting for sponsors, we're not making money. I'm going to be the first one to tell you I did my own budget up to date on a lot of the stuff that I'm done. I'm well in the hole right now. I'm not so much worried about that just yet. What I'm looking to do is to improve what we're doing, to be able to cover more, to offer more. So I'm going to solicit some folks out there today. If you might be interested in a sponsorship, you don't simply have to sponsor and just have an ad on the program. We want to do something like have a student athlete of the week award. I want to do something like that. If that's something that might interest you, contact me. We want to recognize these young people, and it doesn't have to be a high schooler. It doesn't, have to be a football player. We're going to take nominations and have a student athlete of the week, but we want to have something to give them, be it a plaque or a trophy or a gift card for dinner, something nice, and have them come on and talk to them during the course of our show. So we're looking for things like that. Use your minds. If you're a sports fan out there, something you think is interesting, we want to be able to have a platform where we offer breakfast, just something as simple as that to our guests that come in. If you want to sponsor that would be great. If you'd like to have us come out, we can do this remote. So we're at the football field house. We're not going to be here every week. I mean, there's different locations we can come to. If your business might be interested in having our program come out, we can do a live remote. We can bells, whistles, crowd, everything. We'd love to do it. So we're going all out to try to promote DeKalb County sports. So again, this ain't about the money. And for all the local sponsors out there, and I've emphasized this, and I also have another podcast out there that I work with. We don't charge a lot for sponsorships because, I know how expensive it is to advertise in local media or, larger media. I want to keep this to where local small business owners can advertise what they do, because let me tell you something. We got a lot of great local small businesses in DeKalb County. And over the past couple of years in particular, I've gotten to know a lot of really good people, some who have even moved from, outside the area in here, and they've got great businesses. We want to help you promote what you do. So along with the fact that, we're trying to grow our show, we want to help you publicize what you do. So let's work together and make this a big community show. Now, we're going to stream this live every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock at whatever location we happen to end up at. But, of course, the stream will be available. We do have a DC Blitz Facebook page. For the time being, thanks to Facebook's rules, which I won't get into because I'll probably get censored. But due to all that, it's going to be a couple of months before the show will be available live on the DC Blitz page. But we will share it after the fact on the Blitz page, and it will live there. So if you can't watch it live, obviously you can come back and watch it at a later time. Also on my personal podcast network, and I'm working on a website that I've been working on for about 7 months now, and I'll have it together in probably about 7 years. But we're going to have all these hosted on that eventually. But after the fact, audio only. You can also listen to the program. Pick out your favorite streaming platform, whether it be Apple or Amazon or Pandora or iHeart, Spotify. We're going to be on all of those. So we'll be on the podcast network after the fact as well. So lots of ways to watch the show, listen to the show, and please like, follow, share. Help us get the word out. Let's make this big, and let's make this the best, y'all. This is for the kids. That's what it's all about, these student athletes, and for the pride of DeKalb County sports. And I'm going to throw something else out here. I haven't mentioned this to either of you. Chris, I think I may have talked to you at one time about this. Another long-term goal of mine, and Grant James, who's our title sponsor with DeKalb County Insurance, I've mentioned this to him. I want to start a DeKalb County Sports Council where we can start recognizing some of the past and present student athletes from DeKalb County High School and beyond for all that they've done and what they went on to accomplish, and create a sense of pride for athletics in this community like we've never seen before. I've got two great people here that would be fantastic on that. I know some others, and I think anything we can do to really promote DeKalb County sports, we've got the platform to do it. Chris?
Absolutely, and we have some fairly recent athletes that have moved on and are making their way, if not in a major college type of scene, in Major League Baseball. I mean, you look at Stephen Jennings, and he's somewhat forgotten because he hasn't been here in a while, and he didn't go to college, and you have to Google him and find out where he is now. But as far as I know, he's still with the AAA Texas Rangers organization.
Round Rock,
moving his way up, and kudos to him. But there's those types of stories that, I've heard enough about Stephen Jennings. But lately, have you? And you realize the success that he's having and the recognition that it brings back to, our small community.
Sure.
Well, Payne Denman is now he was at MTSU and is now going to be, is he an assistant?
Assistant at UT.
Yeah.
I told his mom, I was like, I'm gonna have to be a UT fan. Sorry, all you people, I'm not an anybody fan.
Don't be sorry for being a UT fan, Kelly.
No, I meant that I'm not.
Then
I'm just saying, I'm kind of a fan of whomever is playing. My daughter is notorious for going, which team are we for? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do we want to be for the underdog, or do we want to be for the, the person? And it's just, and we were talking about this earlier. I'm more of a coach follower. I like coaches that promote their programs and are good people, and they're not out for them. It's a team concept, and when you're a coach, you're all about the team concept, because one person cannot, unless you're in golf and you're playing singles, or you're in tennis and you're playing singles, you got to have a team. And even, I know, I'm into reading autobiographies. I read a lot of autobiographies of people. Serena Williams had a team.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of his name right now.
That guy,
Oh, yes. But I was reading his book, and he was like, he had a team of people. It takes a team to be successful. You have to have a support system. And I think this could maybe help be a support system to some of those athletes that are coming through, and some of those athletes that have gone on, and they're like, well, nobody remembers me and I'm forgotten. And nobody wants to be forgotten. Nobody wants to.
Exactly.
They want when you recognize people from the past that do something, it sticks with kids right now, because they're like, hey, if I do something like that, if I'm the sixth man, if I'm the best sixth man, I'm going to get recognized when I'm old, like I'm going to have that to go follow me.
Sure.
And I think I'm not saying, I'm not dogging on anything. I'm just saying, I think we have not missed that boat a little bit here in DeKalb County. We don't remember Steven, but I don't know if Randy, his dad, was a really good basketball player. I know he played for my dad, and my dad talked about him being one of the best point guards he ever had. We don't talk about that because I wasn't. I mean, I was alive, but I was a young girl, so I don't remember it. And like you said, you didn't come till 95. You might not remember that he was a really good basketball player. Steven got his genes, and his mama, she played over in Gordonsville, and I can kind of remember her playing well. She was a really good athlete, and you got to remember your athletes from the past, so the ones coming up will have something to strive for.
Absolutely.
Got a picture, and it only comes up on Reels about once a year when, that memory kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
When Payne signed with the Gators. So I think I'm going to share that with Knoxville.
You need to, yeah.
It's going to kind of be make an appearance up there. But, Kelvin Page.
Yeah, yes. Well, his parents. I mean, they built the Bill Page ballpark. And, I mean, I played for Joanne. Joanne, right? Joanne?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. But I played for her. And, sometimes I feel like that's what we don't have those people investing in our young kids to make them better. I mean, he was great, but his parents were great. They were his support system. They were his team, to make him a really good baseball player. I can go back. I know more baseball and softball and basketball than I do football. Sorry, I didn't. We didn't play football. I didn't have brothers, so football was not. My husband played, but
newly sanctioned flag football coming up at TLSAA, and you can get involved and broaden your knowledge.
Hey, let me tell you something. I've covered some of that. It's fun to watch.
Oh yeah, the kids love it.
Yes. Yeah, that's fun to watch.
And this new since they announced they were getting volleyball, which I teach PE at the West School, that's all my kids wanted to do was play volleyball. And it wasn't just the girls, it was the boys. They all wanted to play volleyball. So these new sports coming in, when you introduce them, the kids will take off and love playing them. So
absolutely. So that kind of gives you a big picture of what we're looking at here with the DC Blitz and just everything in general. We're looking to grow not just the program, but grow sports in DeKalb County, coverage in DeKalb County, and create that, kind of that atmosphere where we don't forget the folks like Bill and Joanne Page and others who came along and have made a big impact on sports in DeKalb County. I did mention one member of our team, and that's our producer, Daniel Leslie. And let me tell you what, I had a couple of great conversations with this guy earlier in the week. I found out in about 10 seconds he knew a whole lot more about this stuff than I do, and I sure do appreciate him coming on board and helping us out. He came in here, had everything set up and ready to go, and was helping me with my setup, and, man, he's been great. We couldn't do it without Daniel. So the producer of our show, Daniel Leslie, thank you so very much. All right. Let's stop our talking. Let's get a coach in here, and let's talk some football with DeKalb County head football coach Steve Trapp. He's coming up next. This is the DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance.
Unrivaled service and practical advice from Jeff and Grant James at DeKalb County Insurance. With auto, homeowners, life and annuities, property and liability, Medicare supplement, and business policies available. Receive seriously good insurance with great coverage and prices. DeKalb County Insurance is an independent agency that shops multiple carriers, such as Erie, Allstate, Travelers, State Auto, Progressive, and many more. Call today for a quote. DeKalb County Insurance, 615-597-0660.
Looking for the perfect property? Town and Lake Realty and Auction is your #1 choice when it comes to DeKalb County real estate. Specializing in lakefront properties, land, and residential real estate, we offer both traditional real estate services and innovative online, live, and simulcast auctions. With over $250 million in closed volume, we're the largest locally owned brokerage firm in the area, providing superior resources, advertising, and expertise. For the best in real estate, trust Town and Lake Realty and Auction to deliver exceptional results. Discover the difference today by visiting townandlake.com or calling 615-215-7653.
At Love Cantrell Funeral Home, we understand that this life is a journey filled with highs and lows. Just as every game has its final whistle, so too does every life have its final moment. When that time comes, Love Cantrell Funeral Home would love the opportunity to earn your trust. We provide compassionate care and professional services to fit your family's financial needs. Whether you're celebrating a life well lived or finding comfort in the time of sudden loss, we're here to support you every step of the way. Love Cantrell Funeral Home has been a proud sponsor of all DeKalb County athletics for over 65 years. Love Cantrell Funeral Home, where love is not only in our name, but also in our services.
Bad Boy tractors are born from the legendary Bad Boy mowers from 20 to 35 horsepower. Subcompact to midsize, Bad Boy combines power, performance, comfort, and, as always, builds strength to deliver the workhorse dependability you need to get the job done and done right. Homeowner, landscaper, or rancher, there's a Bad Boy tractor for you to work with an attitude. Find your big boy tractor at Southern Landscape Supply, 611 Rich Froning Way in Cookeville. Visit them online at thesouthernlandscapesupply.com.
At Home Services, we work with both residential and commercial properties to provide many services, specializing in dump truck delivery of rock, dirt, and other materials, driveways and parking lots, excavation, finish grading of yards, erosion control, snow removal, and more. Plus, septic tank installation, repair, septic tank pumping, and porta potty rentals. Learn more by visiting our website at homeservicestn.com or give us a call at 615-597-6287.
When closing on a new home or piece of property, you want the process to be as smooth as possible. For almost 20 years, DeKalb Title LLC has been helping new property owners in Smithville and DeKalb County through that process promptly and efficiently. As your trusted title expert and closing company, they believe buying or selling real estate should be a joyous occasion, and their team does everything possible to keep it that way. DeKalb Title works to make sure your transaction gets to the closing table and your new property is secure for years to come. Let DeKalb Title help you close and protect your residential, commercial, or new construction transaction today. Call 615-597-2303 or visit them online at DeKalbTitle.com.
Since 2015, Vitality Fit has had a passion to help any individual at many different stages in their fitness journey reach the level of health and wellness that they desire. With the multiple different services we now offer, from group training to personal training to even nutrition, you can find a service that best fits you and your goals. We have a speed and agility camp coming up August 17th through September 22nd for middle school and high school athletes to enhance their on-field performance. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram or our website, vitalityfittn.com, or you can reach us by email, vitalityfit.tc@gmail. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to help you reach your fitness goals.
Wild Honey Spray Tans is locally owned and operated here in DeKalb County. We pride ourselves in giving you the perfect tan every time. Get the benefits of golden skin without the damaging effects of the sun or a tanning bed. Mention this ad and receive 20% off your first tan. You can reach us at 615-410-6489 or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Sun-kissed perfection awaits.
Smithville FBC is proud to support DC Blitz and all DeKalb sports. We have a place for you to call home on Sunday mornings and Wednesday night. We have nursery available. Pre-K through 5th graders are welcome to join Faith Kids. 6th through 12th graders are welcome to join FBC students, and everyone's outside of that is welcome to join all of our adult ministries. We meet Wednesday nights at 6, and Sunday morning small groups begin at 9 with worship at 10. Join us at Smithville FBC. It's a place to call home.
It's the DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. Tom Duggin, Chris Vance, Kelly Pyburn, and our special guest, DeKalb County head football coach Steve Trapp, joining us on the show, our inaugural guest.
Yes, sir.
Coach, good to have you.
I appreciate y'all guys allowing me to do this. You know, we've been back and forth for quite a while now. You know, year 20 for me, so very happy to be able to host the first show and just enjoy the opportunity to talk about our guys.
And we want to thank you for letting us come out to the field house. We did not know where we were going to do this show until about Thursday. And Coach Trapp generously said, hey, guys, you can come out to the field house. And like I said, I know with Junior Pro and a lot of things going on that you guys are doing, we won't be here every week. But I think an excellent place, certainly, to have the first show. And by the way, you mentioned 20 years. Where did the time go? Because it seems like that hasn't been that long ago since you got started here.
Yeah, I know. That conversation's come up quite a bit now. Some days it don't feel like it. A lot of days it does. But I still enjoy doing it. You know, these young men that we get to work with day in and day out, that's a lot of motivation for me, and you know, it's fun, and sure. It's been fun seeing a vision come to fruition a little bit out here, and like I said, I'm just enjoying every day.
You look at the team's success during your time here, unprecedented success. I think you've been to the playoffs now, 13 years in a row? Is that right? And
I'd have to look at the wall outside, but I believe so, yeah.
And I think maybe before you were here, the program had only been to the playoffs maybe 3 or 4 times. I mean, what did it take to get it to that point to where year in and year out the playoffs have, I hate to say not necessarily become an expectation, but it's just kind of like that's where we're going to end up?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we started talking about, you know, day one when we took over is just to establish that. Is that something that is expected each and every year? We always start with a region championship. Mm-hmm. You know, we've done that once, you know, so we want to do that more. But, you know, our next goal is to make sure we get those extra opportunities in the playoff. There's so much benefit to that, you know.
Sure.
Financially, we make money if we're traveling or if we're at home. We want them at home, but the extra time for our young guys to keep practicing, to keep them in the weight room, to keep preparing. So we tell them each and every year in January, you know, don't take that for granted. And in the region we're in now, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. You know, adding White County to it last year, I mean, that just makes it even more difficult. There were a few years, we made the playoffs where we only won 3 games. There's only 5 teams in a region. That's not the case anymore. So when we get there this year, you know, I'm confident in that. I mean, it would probably be one of the toughest roads we've had to go to get there, you know, at least since I've been here. So we've got our work cut out for us, but again, we're excited for the opportunity.
We're going to talk about the season, of course, coming up here just a moment, but I want to go back again and backtrack here just a little bit. What do you feel maybe was the turning point for your tenure in the program to get it? I know those first 3 years, you probably don't even want to think a whole lot about that, but at the same time, there was probably a lot of motivation there, a lot of learning that helped turn that corner. When did that happen, do you feel?
Well, I mean, just a little historical recap, right? I was 26, coached junior pro for 6 years. That was the last 3 years of that. I was the head coach and figured out, hey, I'd like to do this.
Sure.
And would like to be here at home. I'm a homer. When I was in high school, my room was painted black and gold. So, it all kind of worked out that way. And, I was 3-27 those first 3 years. And, I thanked them for giving me the job. And I made a promise to them. I said, it might start out ugly, but I promise you nobody will outwork us. And, we're going to work. We've done a lot of things. But I think the biggest thing that really turned this around is, like I said, I was 26. I was young. I was egotistical and thought that I could outwork everybody, but come to find out everybody works. I think the biggest turning point in this going into 2008 is I understood that it wasn't about me. And it was about these guys, and that because I can remember standing up in front of them those first 3 years and telling the guys what I wanted to achieve, but understanding that I couldn't achieve anything or garner anything without those guys being successful. So I think the biggest turning point is just understanding that we is bigger than me. My faith is a big part of that, coming to the realization that, because I prayed and said, this is what I'm supposed to do. After those first 3 years, I said, I'm not challenging you or nothing. I said, but I need to put you first. And I think the good Lord kindly helped us out.
Absolutely. Chris, I know you've been doing some homework getting ready for your season with DTC, and you probably got some questions for Coach Trapp, and you're ready to go.
Had a chance to watch the Jamboree last night over at Gordonsville, Turney Ford Field. Had your 2 quarters against Clay County, used your starters for the first quarter and the second string for the second quarter. What are your takeaways from the first quarter against Clay County?
I liked my first 2 plays on offense. After that, I thought we was pretty ragged. I mean, that's just to be honest. And the guys, and we were up front with them. But that's what jamborees are for. I thought we have had a very good scrimmage season leading up to that. It's a little different, even though, everybody knew going into it, we'd be playing 1 quarter as far as our starters go and things like that. But, first play a game on offense, we hit a 70-yard pass play, scored the second one. But after that, I think we fumbled. Penalty, interception, and then so just got to clean things up. So again, that's what jamborees are for. It gives us something to really hone in on for this next week, prepping for the first game of the regular season, and we're excited for that opportunity. We talk to our guys all the time about it. Embrace your mistakes so that you can know that success. But it's for real now.
We've talked about this region. I think it's of the areas, the 2 schools that I cover. I think this is one of the 2 toughest regions that one of our schools has to, endure and travel through. And talk about those other schools just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. When 2 of our schools was in the semifinals or close to the semifinals going against each other, with Macon and Upperman, with Upperman making it to the state championship game last year. And, we've been right there with those guys the last couple of years. We've had a lot of games. The games we've lost over the last 3 years have been mostly 1-score games. And that's something that we told our guys about. And the things that it takes to make that 1 score up. And that's limiting mistakes. We didn't see that last night. And that's what makes it so frustrating is understanding how close we've been the last couple of years and the reasons why. And we've seen some of those things last night. Stone Memorial's been good for the last few years. Adding White County, they had a year where they were independent, where they wasn't in a region at all, and then, had a great year and then got added to us this past season. So, again, it just makes our region stronger. And, without being challenged, though, you can't be your greatest. So, again, we accept that.
This may take you a minute to kind of think about this, and I hate to do it, but there's no other way.
No.
We've mentioned Stephen Jennings.
Yeah.
Who are some of the names through this history that really stand out, that were, just leaders that really helped you bridge that gap from maybe 3-27 to 13 years in a row?
After 20 years, I heard Kelly say, man, it's hard to remember the names sometimes, but I really do. I think about those guys that come in with me, like Matthew Lawrence, they were all freshmen, Logan Roller. I coached all those guys through junior pro, for 4, 5, 6 years, and they were freshmen when I got the job. We had 30 players. They played there the first 3 weeks of the year. They would play JV games on Monday night and then turn around and play again on Fridays. That's illegal now. You got an 8-quarter rule, but so I had to cancel all the rest of my JV games because all them they were my starters. But those guys went through the ringer. Again, 3-27, that was on their backs. Also, when they got to their senior year. And their senior year was 2008. And, we went 8-2 in the regular season, won our first ever playoff game. So I think about those guys a lot. Hunter Poteet, Abram Edwards, those guys, their jerseys are hanging in here. I've been blessed with a lot of really good quarterback. Lucas Phillips, followed Axel Aldino, of course, Steven. Had a lot of good guys there, receivers, Kobe Barnes a couple years ago. There's just been so many up front. Matthew Boss and Caleb Cantrell, and not only what they did for us on the football field, but a lot of these guys that I mentioned, just look at what they're doing with their lives now. Alex Hayes, we've got doctors, lawyers, all this kind of stuff, police officers.
We talked about this a year or two ago.
It's crazy. Lightning struck my house a few years ago. It's like every volunteer, fire department, everybody, like, man, hey, how you doing? They're all football guys. That just lets me know I've been doing it for quite a while.
Does that make you proud, though? To see the kind of leaders in our community they become?
Extremely. Because, we talk about that. Coach Shaw this winter, we did a book study with our team, book talk, I guess, and it was all about leadership and just how much they have to, we want them to take ownership in what we're doing. And then it's not just about football. Reading Coach Reader's article, them naming the field after and reading that article just, that's really what it comes down to. And as you stay in it longer, that's what you really think about. It's just those relationships and what those relationships have meant in your own life. And, I tell everybody, if there's just one thing that kids take away from this program and it makes their life better, help them be better at whatever it is, then ultimately we've been successful here.
DeKalb County High School head football coach Steve Trapp is our guest on DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. As it happens in high school football, you got some guys moving on. It's not like the NFL. Can't go out and sign some free agents, coach. So you got some moving on, some good ones coming back. And who do you lose that you're really going to miss? I'm sure several. And who's coming back that's going to lead this football team?
Yeah, I think the biggest guy, he was a 4-year starter for us. He's now playing the ball at Cumberland. That's Will Ferris, left tackle, defensive end. Started day one as a freshman. So he had a lot of experience. Ari White, there's another guy that played, since he was a sophomore. Briz Trapp was our quarterback for 3 years. I know he, had a lot of injuries and kind of up and down around in there, but he did a lot of good stuff for us. Malachi Trapp, come in the last couple of years for us. He's actually playing at Bethel right now. So, those guys were, good players for us. Mm-hmm. But and I remember after going through Hunter and Abram and all the good things they did, I'm like, how am I ever going to get other dudes that can do what those guys did? But a big thing for me and a learning thing for me, it's new every year.
Yeah.
These guys, they change so much from year to year in a positive way, physically and mentally. And part of what we do in our program, we want to help develop that. So, and you got to embrace it, so as much as we have loved what all these guys have done for us in the past and the good things they've done, we got to focus on what's coming in and develop those guys and allow them and hopefully for them to leave their legacy also.
One thing I've heard over the years about Coach Steve Trapp, and you talked about your list of quarterbacks, and you go back and look at some of the guys you've had, and they've been remarkable. He's the quarterback whisperer. This is a guy that knows how to develop a quarterback. Is there something magical that I guess that in the way you teach that position, or is it a combination of just coaching? You've been blessed to have some really good talent.
It's more of a blessing. Really, those guys come up to me, and having Hunter down at the middle school really helps, and because all those guys played for me. But I think the biggest thing that I do, and I let them be them. I don't try to change them a whole lot. Between the ears, I think is mostly where I try to impact them the most, just as far as not only knowing our playbook and the other team's defensive playbook as well, but just what it means to be a servant leader. And ultimately, every Friday night, there's going to be two people that get looked at the most, and that's probably the head coach and the quarterback.
Sure.
And when it goes good, I'm going to give them all the glory and everything. And when it don't, I'll accept it all. And that's kind of the way they got to be with their football team as well. But, the greatest ones we've had, that's been their best attribute, is just that servant attitude and the leadership qualities. And then also being able to hold people accountable to do things the right way. And, I tell them all the same thing. Is just there's two people that definitely cannot have a bad day on the practice field, and that's the head coach and the quarterback. And I'm now a 46-year-old moody man, so they got to help me out every day, because sometimes their choices, again, I say, you've probably heard me say it over the 20 years of interviews, fortunately and unfortunately, every day the sanity in my life is based off the decisions of teenagers. And when they make good decisions, man, it's good. But when not, it can drive you crazy. crazy. So sometimes, yes, they have to impact us as well.
So that puts a little gray hair on your head.
Well, that's why I stay shaved a little bit more now, so it's all
now,
good.
Steve was a receiver in high school, and he likes to sling the football around. So the first priority of your quarterback, the first skill, whatever, has to be able to throw that football.
Right.
And if you can't do that, you're not under center, you're not in a shot, it's not going to happen.
But you got to have somebody who can catch.
Awesome.
You do, but that's where he looks for these quarterbacks.
Yes.
Getting me the ball.
Yeah.
What does being a former player, and again, you've matured, I know, a whole lot since high school, but how did it help you as a coach in terms of relating to players? And, of course, kids have changed a lot, I'm sure, over the years.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I was a scout team quarterback. You know what I mean? Now I can't throw 10 footballs without my arm going numb, so there's a lot of difference. But like I said, I was that guy that had my room painted black and gold when I was in high school. So I had a lot of pride just for, being a part of this and just grateful for that opportunity. And, we wasn't always very successful then, but I always remember just trying to do my best. And I talk to these guys all the time, things that I regret as far as being a football player, things that I didn't do. And it wasn't about the X's and O's. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest things is, as a senior, I said, I can't sit here and tell you all the freshmen that I played with. And that irks me.
Yeah.
So I ask them and tell them, hey, take them under your wing, because ultimately everybody moves from this. And then what kind of legacy are you going to leave behind as far as, man, I'm glad I got to play with that guy. I was like, man, I'm glad he's gone. So just, again, it's about the relationship, how we treat people. That's what we talk about all the time. But like I said, there's a lot of pride. We've talked about Tiger pride, and, the biggest thing that, you've asked me to define it in the past.
Sure.
And it's defined a lot of different ways, but to sum it up in one word, it's all about people.
Tiger pride is something I love going around the community and see all the signs. It's everywhere. And then, I guess now going on 20 years, it's just good to have seen how that has grown, how that's blossomed. It's become a true community thing, and that was your vision from the start.
It was, and like I said, I got the job 2 weeks before the first game, and really wasn't a whole lot of time to establish a whole lot of stuff. But sure. I do remember the very first meeting, sitting in front of those guys, and it started out with just 3 things, and the 3 expectations, and they're still on the wall when you walk out. You can see them, and that's just great effort, great choice, and golden rule. That's what we started with, and then trying to get that first team to buy into those 3 things, because if you live up to those 3 things, we really don't need rules and standards, mm-hmm. right? But getting into the year and then seeing all the things they were doing wrong, we need to make some rules and standards also. So that second year in, and we still do it to this day, usually January 4th or 5th, we have about a 2-hour little PowerPoint, and we just go over everything. And again, I still don't have rules. Yeah. I have standards, and I say it in my classroom too. Rules are made to be broken. Standards are made to be upheld. So, and this year, the big thing that we're saying, hey, the standard's the standard. It takes what it takes. And you got to decide and make the choices on what you want to do in order to get what you want. We want to win. That's not what we ultimately focus on, but what do we have to do in order to do that? And we think the way we interact with each other and the relationships we have is a big part of that.
Chris and I have hijacked this whole conversation, Kelly. We are so sorry.
It's okay.
Kelly's I'm just sitting watching Kelly look at me, look at Steve. We don't want to leave you out.
No. Yeah. I do have a question, and
yes,
I'll go. What is your most memorable moment as a player and your most memorable moment as a coach so far?
So far, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of moments as a player, but I want to go back to my junior pro days. My junior pro experience, I think I come out the very first year I could play, then I missed a year because I missed the sign-ups and come back. But the last year I got to play junior pro, I was actually the quarterback, and I loved it. But my very first touchdown ever was right here on this field. It was an 18 sweep. Nobody touched me. I weaved in and out, and it was just awesome, and I loved that feeling. And then yes, ma'am.
Is an 18 sweep you ran 18 yards?
No, 18 is one's for the quarterback, 8's to the right. Keep it and just take off. Our lingo is a lot different now, but that's what it was back then. But it was awesome. And then in high school, again, like I said, we didn't have a whole lot of success, but my senior year, I think I led the team in scoring, but like 4 of them was all on defense, so I think I had like 4 pick sixes.
Defense makes
I
offense.
love it. And I played safety, and I just loved that. So that was fun. But high school wise, I mean, 08, that first playoff win, I mean, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. I still hear Mr. Pryor's voice. Just I watch that game sometime just to hear that moment, because he was sitting beside our camera, and you can hear that moment. And just, I see those guys. And Coach K was there, and I turn around. He's like the first guy running on the field in 08. So that's a huge moment. And then, a few years ago, a couple, when we made it to the third round, when we beat Marshall County in the second round, just, that feeling and that vibe. And then the year we won the region too, because that's never been done. It's the only time we've done it here. So those are some very memorable moments for me.
Kelly, I remember Steve Trapp, and he'll know, and you can't forget this one. And I think Dylan's probably on the sideline that he goes down, he stays down, and he's in pain, he's in agony, and I get out there and his toes are pointing backwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he probably got up and played.
Well,
he wanted to. He wanted to.
John Roller wouldn't let me. He was kind of holding me down. But yeah, literally one foot was up, one foot was down, and that happened right out here too. So
now, for a hot second, I was the football manager. I think I made it to like the first or second.
Practice?
No, I remember because my friend Brad Talley, he had a license, and so I could ride. I read to practice with him, and I don't know if he was I think he was a freshman, sophomore. I don't know. I think you were the coach, and it was me and Kate Pack and somebody else, and we were the managers. And I remember we sitting in the other field house, and y'all were drawing up something, and I was like, I go to class with some of these kids. I'm not sure they know what you're talking about, because I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Very valid point.
But they did, but like I think I went to one scrimmage game, and I'm over there fixing helmets. Like that was right up my alley. But I had no clue what was going on the field. I mean, like I know when you score a touchdown, and I know like a pass play and some running stuff. But I never did get engulfed into football until about college, and when I went to Southern Miss, and you would go to the games and you knew all the football players. Here I ate lunch with the football players, but that's just because I get along better with the guys than the girls. We can talk shop. But I can remember. I mean, I remember you playing. I don't really go to so many of the games. We went to the games. I didn't know what was going on at the games. And I'm all about not necessarily in high school that you have to have the name on the back of the jersey. But it would be really helpful in football. Like
it helps the radio guy.
Because we went to the junior high game the other day, and I was going, "Who's that? Yeah. Who's that kid?" And like I finally learned a few numbers. But unless you're the mama, you don't know. Yeah. You don't know the number. And if you can figure, the mama's always got the number. So if you know the mama, then you know the kid. But I do remember football, and it was a big it was a big deal. Coming from the West School, we weren't exposed to football. I mean, I know they bust them up to the middle school, but we weren't really exposed. So my freshman year was kind of my first introduction to football. Now, my cousin, Robbie Reasonover, had played, and I think they were maybe kind of good then, but that was like in the 80s. But I wasn't exposed to football, and now I have a son. He does not play football. Thank you. But he does not play football, but he wants to come to all the football games. And I was like, okay, you're taking interest. Nah, he's playing football over there with the other kids, but he wants to come to all the football games, and I haven't really noticed. This year, junior high is pretty good. So you got something to look forward to.
That's right.
But I do remember, I mean, there's a lot of tradition. The band was always pretty good. Mr. Rohde did a really good job with the band. And so y'all always had a good crowd at football games. And I think our community comes together and supports them. Like I said, you mentioned Matt Boss. Matt Boss is one of your big supporters. I go to church with Matt Boss, and so I have to hear about the football team all the time. I'm like, hey, man, I'll try to go to a game. So when my son gets to high school, I'm sure I'll have to make a few games.
Just piggybacking off that, just the environment that we've tried to create here on Friday nights also, and just none of that could have been done without this community. I mean, our school can't just throw money around at everything and do things. And the past couple of years that stuff like that has been happening, and it's benefited all sports. But just the environment that we try to create with the music, the video board, and just hopefully the style of play, and it's a place to where we put a lot of work in this. I mean, you're a coach, you know what it takes to take care of your facilities and all that stuff. But my whole thing to that is when people from DeKalb County walk in here, it's theirs. I want them to feel like, hey, take pride in this, because without them, we wouldn't have it, So a great atmosphere here on Friday nights.
I told him, I said, they do a whole lot of practicing for playing for like 5 minutes. Because I said, I understand now why the NFL has all these light shows and cheerleaders and different. And so I came to the first one. I noticed the lights. It was still daylight. But they said, no, it's better. It's better about October when it's dark. And I said, I can totally see where them lights would play into some entertainment, because sometimes I don't, when you don't know what's going on, you're just kind of sitting there trying to figure out everything. I said, there needs to be I know there's a book, Football for Dummies, but I need somebody sitting beside me telling me what's going on.
You got us, Kelly. We'll help. We'll get you through the football
I listen to it on the radio a whole lot more than I can sit and watch it.
Yeah. Guys, we're running a little long here on the segment. I was sitting worried about filling up 15 minutes. We're almost an hour in already. We got two coaches waiting, so we got to move on a little bit. But DeKalb County Tigers hosting Warren County this upcoming Friday night, 20th year in a row. Matter of fact, the Tigers and the Pioneers will kick off the football season. Coach, we'll close with this. What do you like most about this year's football team?
I really think they're a close-knit group. Now, we only got 6 seniors, but all of our other classes and our juniors, and, so those 6 guys, kind of bonded, but what that means for the rest of our guys as well. That junior class, we got a lot of those kids have got a lot of experience. So, and they've worked extremely well. We've had a good winter, good spring, good summer, good fall camp. But, we can't rest on that. It's about getting better each and every day. So we're excited.
All right. 7 o'clock on Friday night. Come early because it will be packed. Make sure it is packed. Come on out to the Van Hoosier Stadium. Don't eat before you come. Come hungry. Get some at the concession stand. Enjoy the football game. DeKalb County kicks off their season Friday night against Warren County. Coach Steve Trapp has been our guest. Coach, thank you so much for sharing some memories and prepping us for the upcoming football season.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Tom.
All right, we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk a little golf when we come back. DeKalb County head golf coach John Pryor's in the building. Stay with us. The DC Blitz presented by DeKalb County Insurance.
Unrivaled service and practical advice from Jeff and Grant James at DeKalb County Insurance. With auto, homeowners, life and annuities, property and liability, Medicare supplement, and business policies available. Receive seriously good insurance with great coverage and prices. DeKalb County Insurance is an independent agency that shops multiple carriers, such as Erie, Allstate, Travelers, State Auto, Progressive, and many more. Call today for a quote. DeKalb County Insurance, 615-597-0660.
Wild Honey Spray Tans is locally owned and operated here in DeKalb County. We pride ourselves in giving you the perfect tan every time. Get the benefits of golden skin without the damaging effects of the sun or a tanning bed. Mention this ad and receive 20% off your first tan. You can reach us at 615-410-6489 or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Sun-kissed perfection awaits.
Smithville FBC is proud to support DC Blitz and all DeKalb sports. We have a place for you to call home on Sunday mornings and Wednesday night. We have nursery available. Pre-K through 5th graders are welcome to join Faith Kids. 6th through 12th graders are welcome to join FBC students, and everyone's outside of that is welcome to join all of our adult ministries. We meet Wednesday nights at 6, and Sunday morning small groups begin at 9 with worship at 10. Join us at Smithville FBC. It's a place to call home.
Looking for the perfect property? Town and Lake Realty and Auction is your #1 choice when it comes to DeKalb County real estate. Specializing in lakefront properties, land, and residential real estate, we offer both traditional real estate services and innovative online, live, and simulcast auctions. With over $250 million in closed volume, we're the largest locally owned brokerage firm in the area, providing superior resources, advertising, and expertise. For the best in real estate, trust Town and Lake Realty and Auction to deliver exceptional results. Discover the difference today by visiting townandlake.com or calling 615-215-7653.
Since 2015, Vitality Fit has had a passion to help any individual at many different stages in their fitness journey reach the level of health and wellness that they desire. With the multiple different services we now offer, from group training to personal training to even nutrition, you can find a service that best fits you and your goals. We have a speed and agility camp coming up August 17th through September 22nd for middle school and high school athletes to enhance their on-field performance. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram or our website, vitalityfittn.com, or you can reach us by email, vitalityfit.tc@gmail. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to help you reach your fitness goals.
Just like the excitement of the big game, life is filled with unforgettable moments. At Love Cantrell Funeral Home, we understand that when the final moment comes, you want to honor those moments with dignity and care. Whether you're celebrating a life well lived or finding solace in a time of grief, our compassionate staff is here to provide the support you need. Trust Love Cantrell Funeral Home to guide you through with respect and professionalism. Love Cantrell Funeral Home is a proud sponsor of DeKalb County Athletics through 3 generations. At Love Cantrell Funeral Home, love is not only in our name, but also in our services.
Ignite HVAC Electrical and Plumbing offers both residential and commercial sales, installation, and service. We want to set ourselves apart from the rest of the heating and air industry by providing a seamless experience from your project start to finish. We also offer duct cleaning, which will help improve the performance of your unit. No job is too large or too small. For any heating and air, electrical, or plumbing job, give us a call at 615-597-0100.
Bad Boy Mowers' legendary reputation for strength, performance, and value is now available with Bad Boy tractors. From mid-size to subcompact models powered by 22 to 35 horsepower water-cooled diesel engines, your tractor work just got real easy. On the farm, the ranch, or even around the house, Bad Boy tractors deliver power and durability all day, every day. Bad Boy tractors work with an attitude. Find your Big Boy tractor at Southern Landscape Supply, 611 Rich Froning Way in Cookeville. Visit them online at thesouthernlandscapesupply.com.
When closing on a new home or piece of property, you want the process to be as smooth as possible. For almost 20 years, DeKalb Title LLC has been helping new property owners in Smithville and DeKalb County through that process promptly and efficiently. As your trusted title expert and closing company, they believe buying or selling real estate should be a joyous occasion, and their team does everything possible to keep it that way. DeKalb Title works to make sure your transaction gets to the closing table and your new property is secure for years to come. Let DeKalb Title help you close and protect your residential, commercial, or new construction transaction today. Call 615-597-2303 or visit them online at DeKalbTitle.com.
Yeah. It's DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. Who did all this music?
That is so good.
That was me, by the way. I tell you what, I've been working on a show, and of course, like I said, I do another podcast. So every night this week, I've stayed up past my bedtime, and I'm going to admit I go to bed about 9 o'clock these days. But last night I got to 11:30. I still had about 50 things to do, and I'm like, I'm done. And that's why I say, when I say I'm thankful that Daniel Leslie, our producers here, he's made everything look and sound a lot better than I would have. So I appreciate him so much. Speaking of sounding good, voice of the Tigers and DeKalb County golf coach, a man of many hats. Today is DC hat. John Pryor joins us on the program. John, good to have you, man.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. I'm really excited to be here. This is a great thing to get some more exposure to our high school athletes and to DeKalb County sports.
Absolutely, and we talked a lot about that in the first segment, that we really want to draw attention to all the sports, all the student athletes, give, some of the programs. And I like it when Coach Vance was the golf coach and how he really worked hard to promote his program. You've done the same thing. Coach K, who will be joining us in a few minutes with the soccer program, getting the information out there and giving these student athletes some more love, because they deserve it, really.
Well, I was here to listen to Coach Trapp, and he has made this an event, high school sports or high school football on Friday nights. And, that's one of my favorite things about it is like the early bird tournament. It feels special, or going to the state tournament. It feels special. There's a starter on the first tee, and it's just an opportunity for the kids to feel like they're part of something big. And, I just think that's a great testament. And, I also want to talk about Coach Reeder. I think that's a great testament to him. I think Coach Reeder, Coach Kleparek, Coach Braswell, and Coach Bond, they're all 4 still alive, and they have things named after them.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite an honor, and I was really proud for Coach Reeder.
And Coach K is glad that he's still alive, and so are we. But you're right. We've had some legendary coaches here, and some really modest coaches at that. I mean, they don't run around, touting what they've done over the years, but they've been pioneers for DeKalb County sports, and that says a lot. Coach K's been with soccer since it began. You mentioned Coach Braswell, and I mean, the impact he had with the DeKalb County Saints. We didn't mention Danny Parkerson at DeKalb West School and how he loved the programs there and loved the school in general. So many great pioneers that have been part of the landscape, and I don't think we've talked about them enough, I'll be honest.
Well, I think they all have one thing in common is they love kids.
Yep.
And they love to be around kids, and kids keep you young, and it's a really energizing thing. And you just Coach Trapp was talking about some of the great things his former players have done, and I know that's got to be very satisfying. So maybe
John?
we're not in it for the money, but
right.
We're in it for some of that. I don't know. It's good feelings that you have watching them grow.
Seeing young men and women grow up to be community leaders and find outstanding individuals, just like he said, I know you feel this way. You too feel the same way. That's as gratifying as anything when you're a coach, I believe.
Absolutely. It is. We talk about, and Coach Trapp alluded to this with former players and what they're doing now. And we talked about Payne Denman. You look at Grant James and what he's doing with DeKalb Insurance. And, the list could go on, and we could spend all day just talking about what those guys are doing to us. I know one of my banquets, it was like, I'm always going to associate the New York Yankees with Grant Goodwin.
Yeah.
Because that was his deal.
Sure.
And Charlie's Rose goes with Kristen James. And you make those connections with those kids, and you don't forget the kids. You don't forget the special things that were special to them.
Sure.
And I think we get the same thing. And he'll have those memories if he doesn't already, because he's done this a while. But it's just one of those things that sticks with you.
Let's talk a little golf. And, John, y'all are about halfway through the season, regular season, I guess, by now, right?
Almost halfway. We've played in one big tournament, the Early Bird, which is a Cookeville tournament. We got another one coming up, the Maxwell tournament in Warren County. And then our district tournament is late September. Our region's late September, and the state is early October. So,
wow.
My girls, I've got the same 3 girls back from last year. They were 24-0 going into the state tournament. We finished 8th in the state. So far this year, we're 13-0. They're better than they were last year, and so I'm hoping we can make it to state and have a little bit better showing. But they are great to be around. They're very competitive, and they hit the ball a lot better than I do.
What's maybe one area you've seen some improvement in the girls' program, and maybe some things they've learned having that experience last year of getting to the state tournament?
Well, when I started, I had 2 girls, and then I had 1 girl, and then I didn't have any girls for a couple of years. And I think our program really was hurt when the middle school did not have a team.
Right.
That is when there's a middle school team, it helps me have a feeder program.
Sure.
And Allison Poss came along a few years ago. She was the only girl on the team. Her dad and her brother are good golfers. Her mother runs the golf course, and she's spent her life growing up at the golf course. She's been great. She's a senior, and she went to the state last year with the team. She'd made it to the region her freshman and sophomore year. And so she kind of set the tone after not having girls for a few years. And then Emily Anderson's a junior this year. And she works really hard, and I've seen a lot of improvement in her game. And then I have a sophomore in Chloe Boyd, she's awesome. I mean, she plays all summer in the SNEDS Tour events. And so these girls just happen to be really dedicated, but I don't know who's coming behind them, you know. Prior to this crew, I had Anna Chu, who really had some of my memories. I know Payne Denman gave you a lot of memories on the golf course. Anna Chu came in 7th in the state her senior year, kind of got hot at the end of her career. She was a really good golfer, but she turned into a great golfer coming into the district and region. And at one point, she was leading the state against girls that were committed to Alabama and Vanderbilt. And so I have a lot of good memories of her. But I need that middle school program. You talk about what makes a good high school team. I need them to start young. I don't need them to start golf when they're freshmen. That's an uphill climb.
Sure, absolutely. Any sport, you need that kind of feeder program. And Chris, I think when you were coach, you had the benefit of there was a middle school program, at least part of the time, I think. I don't know about the full time.
Gosh, I really can't remember. I know that when I took over for Steve Hayes, he had retired from the principal and all coaching and everything like that, and it kind of fell into my lap as an organizer, not as a coach. But the carryover from that group of guys who were really good golfers. And then I believe there was a middle school program, and so there was brothers, but it was a real small community of golfers around the middle school, high school at that time for that age. And then I think you'll find this out if you haven't already, as our girls and then our boys got good, the interest in trying out for high school golf, for middle school golf, really took off and exploded. And it got, and my philosophy a little bit different from yours. It got to where I'm only going to keep so many players because I can only rotate so many, and that may have turned some away. So I really like what you're doing because I think you have like 20 on the team this year, and the philosophy is if you want to play golf, I'm not turning you away.
Well, I was going to say, you look at the three girls, and I look at the boys roster, and you got half a football team there, John.
Well, my philosophy is to be on the golf team, you have to have at least played golf once before, not putt-putt. We did have somebody come out one time, and in the application process, they said they'd made several holes in one, and I got really excited, and then I realized they were putt-putt golfers. But you have to own your own clubs, and you have to have played golf before. And, there's some guys on my team that are learning the game, but, I'm a little bit different than Coach Trapp. I mean, my goals are to make memories and have fun. Right. And so I think some of the guys that may struggle to ever make a match, they enjoy being out there at practice and having fun, and they enjoy cheering on their classmates who are maybe the 1 and 2 golfer on the team. But I try to, we have a lot of practices, and we try to do fun things, and I try to mix up the groupings. And so, I was not good enough to make my high school golf team, but I have lots of great memories with my father and my brother and a bunch of my friends playing golf. And I know golf is a little bit different than football in that you can play it for a long time.
Sure.
And so if somebody comes out and learns golf and messes around with the high school golf team and then plays golf the rest of their life, I'm hoping to light that fuse with some of them, whether they make a high school match or have a score counted in a match or a tournament or whatever, is not as important to me as them learning a lifelong love of the game.
John, let's talk about some of the guys on the boys' team. I think you got 2 seniors this year.
I do. Owen Snipes and Seth Fusen, they've been with me for all 4 years. They've played in some matches. I've got a really talented group of juniors that are trying to take up all the starting spots. But Seth and Owen, interestingly enough, they both came to the high school under the tutelage of Coach Mike Braswell.
Wow.
Not only is he a basketball coach, but he plays golf, and he worked with them. I would see Seth Fusen as a 7th or 8th grader out at the course, and Coach Braswell would be working with him, and Coach Braswell comes to a lot of golf matches, and they're his boys. He pulls for everybody, but he really likes to follow them because he's worked with them. And so they're great kids. They both have played basketball. I think Seth is still playing basketball, but those are my 2 seniors along with Allison Poss on the girls' side. So I have 3 seniors. I've got 17 total golfers, and those 3, I put them together one day and let them play together as seniors, and they get along, and they lead by example, and they're good kids. I'm really proud of them.
Talk a little bit about your region and how that's shaping out and what your expectations are. You talked about the girls. They went to the state last year, and everybody's back. A little bit about what you expect out of them and the boys' side as well.
Well, we are in golf. It's different than football. It's in basketball. It's big school, small school. Mm-hmm. And if there were 400 public schools in Tennessee, they took the top 200, made them big school, and the bottom 200 made them small school. Unfortunately, we're about 195. So we got to play with Brentwood, Collierville, Farragut, Cookeville. We're one of the smallest big schools, and it's been that way since 2017, and I started in 2016. So our district includes Cookeville and Warren County, who are huge. We've got White County. Upperman has joined us the last couple of years. Livingston, Stone Memorial, Cumberland County. So there's 8 teams in our district. And so Cookeville's boys are really, really good. I mean, we played in a tournament the other day, and their 7th best golfer shot a 73. He would be my number 1 probably.
Wow.
So they're a juggernaut. But our goal for the boys, for me, the top 3 teams in the district go to the region, and my goal for the boys is to make it to region. We've not made it to the region as a team since we've been in big school, and I think we have a really good shot. We played in that early bird with a lot of schools from our district, and we were really competitive with a lot of them. A couple of them beat us by a few strokes. We beat 3 of them. Cookeville kind of ran away with it, but I'm looking forward to the district tournament. We're going to play that at Deer Creek in Crossville. Stone Memorial's the host this year. And, I've seen my boys. I think they're really determined. They want to take that step. Bradley Hale has been my number 1 most of the year. He's a junior, and William Blair has been right there. And those 2 are really competitive with each other. They're competitive with anybody in the district. And I think those 2 can lead us. Abram Kogler is a sophomore, and he looks like a senior. He's big and tall, and he hits it a long way. And so he has been really consistent. And then I got 4 or 5 guys there in those last 2 spots. But my boys' dedication, I see them out here. I see them at the golf course a lot, just working on their own. And that's another thing it takes for a good golfer, is to have parents who were all in, and I've got some great parents, fantastic parents. Craig Hale, we played Livingston on Thursday, and he took a bunch of boys on his own to Livingston on Wednesday to do some recon on the course.
Hey, I've talked to Craig. Craig is all in, and when
Craig
I say
all in,
all in, yes, he is.
And he gets so excited, and he's just he just loves. He's had. I think Bradley is his 4th child, and he's been involved with softball and soccer and basketball and all of that. And so, but he told me that he's really enjoying golf and following Bradley, and he is super supportive. And Chloe Boyd's parents are super supportive. They started a booster club this year. We've not had a booster club until this year. We were able to get matching golf bags for the whole team. We had been to a lot of tournaments, and they had noticed how Cookeville or some schools had matching golf bags, and so we raised some money, and I was just flattered with how supportive the community was, and we got the kids all golf bags. Allison Poss's mother, Gina Cawthorn, runs the golf course, and she has been great to work with and is very supportive and helps me in every way and encourages the kids. And so I've got great parents, and I think that's really important because, my first best golfer was Isaac Walker. He was a sophomore when I started. He went to the state 3 times in his high school career, and his dad was a really good golfer, and he played golf outside of the golf season. And so that's very important for a successful golfer. Not mandatory, but it's important to have parents that encourage the game.
Golf is one of these sports, and obviously it's a lesser, it's a smaller scale without the fundraising, without all the money that goes into it or whatever.
Tickets,
no ticket sales. I'll always post it, hey, come to, the match is free today. It might charge you more next week, but today it's free. But until you get a program like you had your girls last year, get on that run through the region and into the state, you don't realize how large and supportive that community is.
Right.
And it's not just the parents. It would be former players. It would be former coaches. It would be people that lived around the golf course, and just everybody jumping on board and showing the support to you as a coach to give the recognition to those kids that they deserve. And once you get on that run and it starts steamrolling, everybody out of the woodworks is not an understated, little quote.
Yeah. You can go out and watch the golf matches, by the way, folks. So
you can.
Yeah. And like you say, I know no ticket sales, but the kids, they appreciate it so much.
And you can rent a golf cart from the city, and they appreciate that. They're kind enough to close the course for our matches. so it helps them make up for whatever revenue they lose. They charge for a golf cart. We went to play at Livingston on Thursday, and they didn't save me a golf cart.
So John sat in the clubhouse the entire
I got a cooler of water, and I've got an obligation to make sure they stay hydrated.
That's what success will do to you.
Yeah.
Other schools will punish you.
So Catherine Hale was kind enough to, or Catherine Poss was kind enough to let me have her cart. And so we kept them hydrated. So I was appreciative, because when the match started, I was like, well, I hope they don't get thirsty on hole 6.
Now, for some, I kind of know, because I was friends with some golfers. Tell people kind of how it's kind of on the honor system with the kids, correct? Or is there an official score with them the whole time?
It is on the honor system. They play, and so if we were a foursome, I might have Tom's card, and we don't keep our own card. And we encourage them after every hole to say, I made a 6 or I made a 3. Sometimes they say I made a par, and then we realize after the match they didn't know what par was. They thought it was a par 5 or a par 4. But it is, and the rules of golf are very difficult. I mean, they mess up in the pros often, and those guys have been playing golf their whole life. But we try to teach them the rules, and there's a lot of good lessons with that. And so it is on the honor system. There's a lot of integrity. And you know, a couple of years ago, I had a coach from another school contact me, and he said, I owe you an apology. He said, one of my players shaved some points. And I said, you don't owe me an apology. I'm disappointed in your player. But I was like, my players need to catch that. You know, I said, I tell my kids, I said, don't let somebody take a par when they made a triple bogey. You have to not only keep up with your score, but you have to keep up with the person whose score you're keeping.
Right.
And it's hard, because for me, when I play golf, I know what everybody scores, and I'm just built that way. Yeah. But I've got friends that they play golf, and they don't even know what they scored. I was like, what'd you have? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I think you had a 5. You know, I've got to count it up for them. And kids, you know, sometimes kids, they can't even remember which shirt to wear, or
they can't count.
You know, we had a practice one day this summer, and one of the kids got to the course, and his golf shoes were full of water because he'd left them in the truck, and I had to let him wear my golf shoes because we were afraid he'd get trench foot practicing golf. So getting them to be responsible enough to keep keep their score and keep the person they're playing score is tough, but I think that's a good lesson. So
DCHS golf coach John Pryor, a guest on DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. John, before we let you go, I know we talked some golf, and we're going to have plenty more golf throughout the course of the season. Want to bring some of your student athletes in to talk to them throughout the course of the season. But as also the radio voice of the DeKalb County Tigers.
Absolutely.
A couple of things. How long have you been at that now? It's been a while.
Well, you know, in 2008, I had a friend of mine named Tom Duggin who called me.
Who?
And he said, would you be interested in being my color guy? And I said, well, sure. I've never done it. I like to watch football, and I think I know some about it, not a lot. But and then a couple weeks later, Tom called me and said, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's all yours if you want it.
Here you go, John.
And so, one of my highlights of my teaching career, this is my 17th year, but it was my first year to teach. It was going to be my first year to do football, and I went to my first pep rally. And I walked up to Coach Trapp, and I said, hey, where do the teachers sit during these pep rallies? And he said, you're the new radio guy. Here, you introduce the team. And he gave me the roster. And I don't know what happened, but I immediately came up with Hunter Sweetfeet Poteet and J.J. Harriet. The boy's so nice, they named him twice, and I started giving them nicknames as they ran through the Tiger or whatever, and it was a lot of fun. But this is my 17th year. Luke Willoughby has been with me probably, 10 or 11 years. We have such a great time. I feel like Tom and Darvin were such pros, and y'all moved on.
Man, they done forgot about us. Are you kidding?
And so Luke and I laugh whenever we make a mistake. I'm like, Tom Duggan's going to make us do up downs or something. We had a game one time, and we had a game-winning 2-point conversion, and the kid that caught it was like 2, and it looked like a 3, and I called the wrong person, and I was like, oh, Duggan's going to kill us. Duggan's going to be after us. We've let him down.
Oh, man. I have listened to you guys quite a bit on the way back from games I've done in other areas, and y'all do a fantastic job, and people love John Pryor. I'm going to tell you. They love They love what you bring to the radio and all the sports, and you do a great job, you and Luke both.
Well, I'm excited for the kids. And, I always say that when I first came to DeKalb County with my wife, well, she's my girlfriend at the time, Tisha, her mother was a 5th grade teacher, and we were in her kitchen, and she was listening to the football game, and she was not a real football fan, but she wanted to hear how her former students were doing or kids that she went to church with. And so I know we have a community of people like that listen.
Sure.
And so I try to accentuate all the kids on the team, and I think that I always pretend like I'm talking to her, Miss Ann, Miss Ann Puckett. I try not to get too technical with my coverage, not that I could, but I just want somebody, if their son gets in the game or their grandson gets in the game or, somebody in their Sunday school class, I just want to, we love at the end of the game, we play I Spy when the reserves are getting in, and we try to call all their names so that, somebody can say, hey, I heard your name on the radio. But I love these kids, and I just I feel it's the way I get to support them, and I get to do interviews every week with Coach Trapp and his kids, and basketball the same, and I just feel like it's a way that I get to support them without being their coach.
Sure.
And I enjoy every second of that.
And you do a great job. And Kelly?
As a former athlete, I have to say I appreciate what you're doing. And I don't think the people of DeKalb County realize how big of a deal it is to have a radio station because, I taught in Smith County for 10 years. And so, some of my kids are now, most of them are graduated, but last year, several of them were in the state tournament, and I was trying to find, I was like, dadgum, they don't have a radio station, and you can't find it. And it was always so nice that, y'all traveled with us, and we traveled long distances to always have the opportunity for grandparents, family members to hear the game when you can't be there. Sometimes I know now my kids are in travel ball, there's Game Changer or whatever, and my dad's constantly, is it going to be on Game Changer where I can hear the game, where I can watch the game? And I'm like, I don't know, we've never played with this team, but it's so nice to be able to turn the radio on. Now, I really wish WJLE do something. In Alexandria, you have to go sit in a certain parking lot to hear it.
Wait, Kelly, they have this thing called streaming now where you can get on the computer.
Well, now they do, but sometimes getting it to pull up fast enough, but it was always so great to have the radio, and I appreciate everything that you and Luke done, what you and Darvin used to do, because it is important to kids, because that might be the only time they're on the radio.
Well, WJLE, Leon Stribling and Dwayne Page, it's important to them to cover the community, and I just appreciate the opportunity they've given me. We even covered baseball and softball, and a couple of years ago when we made it to sub-state with soccer. You two called the soccer game through WJLE.
Well, I mumbled through it. Thanks to Coach Vance, we got through it. But it was great to do it. But I'm sitting here thinking, these folks are more confused listening to me.
But there is nothing like calling a soccer game and having to explain to the audience why your son just got ejected from the ball game.
Your son.
Yes, my son. Yes.
Wait, that's an
instant red card.
That's an instance where I felt like I knew some of the kids on the team. I don't really know much about soccer, but I wanted to promote that. We have not. I think that's the second soccer game we've ever done, and I thought it was important. I thought Coach K had done a great job. I don't know how many skilled soccer listeners we have here in the community to listen to it on the radio. I know that it's getting bigger, but I just wanted. It's another example of trying to make the kids feel special.
Absolutely.
And I think they enjoyed it, and we did a Tiger Talk with them and interviewed them, and it was really memorable, because, Connor was on that group that I interviewed, and Aiden Ramirez and a couple of others, and I just really, I don't know, I kept thinking of that poem, "Gather ye rosebuds while you may, and enjoy your youth," and they were all getting haircuts, and they were all so excited about that huge run and trying to make it to state, and I just thought it was a really memorable time for all of them, and I just wanted to. And WJLE was great, and they're like, we're in, and so that's what WJLE tries to do, is to promote the sports in DeKalb County. So.
I love local small town radio that's still doing that, and we're seeing even more and more small town stations are not doing it as much anymore, and I think we should all be appreciative that JLE has continued that tradition, and I hope they never stop it because it means a lot to the community. It really does.
Yeah, and I enjoy it, and Dwayne is great to work with, and he's always checking in, make sure I'm ready to go. So, and we'll be back in the saddle again on Friday night when Warren County comes to town for football. So,
absolutely, voice of the Tigers, John Pryor. You can hear him every Friday night. Now, don't stay home if you can. Go take a radio with you. There's so many people that will go and sit in the stands and take a radio, listen to the game. Go out and support the student athletes, but take a radio if you can't make it. Of course. 101.7 FM, or of course, we mentioned the streaming live. You can listen to JLE, John, the voice of the Tigers, and Luke Willoughby throughout the course of the season. And we'll see you on the golf course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. John Pryor's been our guest. John, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Coach K has been here so long, he's got moss growing on him. We're going to talk some soccer next with Coach Dylan Kleparek. This is DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance.
Unrivaled service and practical advice from Jeff and Grant James at DeKalb County Insurance. With auto, homeowners, life and annuities, property and liability, Medicare supplement, and business policies available. Receive seriously good insurance with great coverage and prices. DeKalb County Insurance is an independent agency that shops multiple carriers, such as Erie, Allstate, Travelers, State Auto, Progressive, and many more. Call today for a quote. DeKalb County Insurance, 615-597-0660.
When closing on a new home or piece of property, you want the process to be as smooth as possible. For almost 20 years, DeKalb Title LLC has been helping new property owners in Smithville and DeKalb County through that process promptly and efficiently. As your trusted title expert and closing company, they believe buying or selling real estate should be a joyous occasion, and their team does everything possible to keep it that way. DeKalb Title works to make sure your transaction gets to the closing table and your new property is secure for years to come. Let DeKalb Title help you close and protect your residential, commercial, or new construction transaction today. Call 615-597-2303 or visit them online at DeKalbTitle.com.
Tennessee Fleet provides automotive sales and installation of equipment, lighting, vinyl, graphics, accessories, and more. Some of our services include sales and installation of vehicle graphics and decals, car audio, custom wheels and tires, storefront window wraps, fleet and commercial equipment, car, boat, and ATV accessories. Learn more about the services offered at Tennessee Fleet by visiting our website, TennesseeFleet.com, or give us a call at 615-597-6287.
Wild Honey Spray Tans is locally owned and operated here in DeKalb County. We pride ourselves in giving you the perfect tan every time. Get the benefits of golden skin without the damaging effects of the sun or a tanning bed. Mention this ad and receive 20% off your first tan. You can reach us at 615-410-6489 or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Sun-kissed perfection awaits.
Since 2015, Vitality Fit has had a passion to help any individual at many different stages in their fitness journey reach the level of health and wellness that they desire. With the multiple different services we now offer, from group training to personal training to even nutrition, you can find a service that best fits you and your goals. We have a speed and agility camp coming up August 17th through September 22nd for middle school and high school athletes to enhance their on-field performance. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram or our website, vitalityfittn.com, or you can reach us by email, vitalityfit.tc@gmail. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to help you reach your fitness goals.
Want a mower that's tough enough to break all the rules? Want everything without sacrificing anything? Want performance for the long haul at an unbeatable value? The perfect balance of power and performance? You want a bad boy mower. Packed with power, muscle, simplicity, and comfort the pro and you demands. It's your time. You deserve a bad boy. Bad Boy Mowers. Mow with an attitude. Find your big boy mower at Southern Landscape Supply, 611 Rich Froning Way in Cookeville. Visit them online at thesouthernlandscapesupply.com.
Looking for the perfect property? Town and Lake Realty and Auction is your #1 choice when it comes to DeKalb County real estate. Specializing in lakefront properties, land, and residential real estate, we offer both traditional real estate services and innovative online, live, and simulcast auctions. With over $250 million in closed volume, We're the largest locally owned brokerage firm in the area, providing superior resources, advertising, and expertise. For the best in real estate, trust Town and Lake Realty and Auction to deliver exceptional results. Discover the difference today by visiting townandlake.com or calling 615-215-7653.
At Love Cantrell Funeral Home, we understand that this life is a journey filled with highs and lows. Just as every game has its final whistle, so too does every life have its final moment. When that time comes, Love Cantrell Funeral Home would love the opportunity to earn your trust. We provide compassionate care and professional services to fit your family's financial needs. Whether you're celebrating a life well lived or finding comfort in the time of sudden loss, we're here to support you every step of the way. Love Cantrell Funeral Home has been a proud sponsor of all DeKalb County athletics for over 65 years. Love Cantrell Funeral Home, where love is not only in our name, but also in our services.
Smithville FBC is proud to support DC Blitz and all DeKalb sports. We have a place for you to call home on Sunday mornings and Wednesday night. We have nursery available. Pre-K through 5th graders are welcome to join Faith Kids. 6th through 12th graders are welcome to join FBC students, and everyone's outside of that is welcome to join all of our adult ministries. We meet Wednesday nights at 6, and Sunday morning small groups begin at 9 with worship at 10. Join us at Smithville FBC. It's a place to call home.
And we are back on DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. Want to say a big thanks to Grant James and all the great folks at DeKalb County Insurance for, I'll tell you the truth. When I first started mentioning this show, and I had people actually asking me how they could sponsor before I even had a sponsor sheet. I had no clue how we were going to do this. And as soon as I had one together, Grant wanted one, and I sent out a sponsor sheet. I don't think I'd had a chance to push send yet. He messaged me back, I want to be the title sponsor. And all the sponsors out there that we do have, I didn't have to go out and find them. They came and found the show. And I really appreciate that. That means a whole lot. And to all the sponsors out there, thank you. And again, we're going to look to continue to grow this thing bigger and better. Last segment of the show, Coach Dylan Kleparek has waited and waited and waited, and guess what? He said he doesn't have anything until the Titans play at 6:30, so, buddy, we can talk as long as you want to this last segment, and lots to talk about. While we were at break, we got to kind of, I guess, reminiscing a little bit, talking about the years and people that, that have stayed in their hometowns. We touched on that a little bit last segment. Coach K is one of those that has done just that. You are the pioneer of the DeKalb County soccer program. I mean, there was no DeKalb County soccer before your involvement. And just what does that mean to you to have been there at the very beginning and to see over these 20-plus years how this program has grown, not just on the high school level, now a middle school program. You've got a youth league that is just phenomenal. What does that mean to you?
Well, it has definitely been a life's work, and I have enjoyed it all the way. When I first came back, soccer started in rec league while I was gone to college, and I came back and saw the program was growing, and I had some interest in it because I just thought it was another thing for kids to do.
Sure.
And then my first year teaching, the principal comes to me and he says, "Hey, what do you think about starting a soccer program?" And I was, a football coach. I was a football guy my whole life, and I'd come back to coach football, and he came and asked me, and I said, well, let me go home and ask my wife and pray about it a little bit and see. And I went home and asked my wife. I said, they've asked me to start a soccer team. What do you think? And she said, I think you said yes. So we started a soccer program with a list of about 25 kids' names and a parent. And wow. William Kawinga was the parent's name. I don't know if you remember the Kawingas.
I do.
But that's what they handed me. They gave me nothing else, no equipment, nothing, just no direction. Just said, we want you to start a soccer team. And being 23 and young and dumb and cocky enough to think I could do it, I took it on and went to Toys R Us and bought every soccer ball they had on the shelf because they didn't have soccer balls anywhere else at the time. I mean, that's what we started with. And just got the program rolling and got to see it going. And it's really been, like I said, a life's work. I've just, poured myself into it. I've had a lot of great coaches that I grew up with, and they taught me how to be dedicated and to work hard and to achieve the things you want. And so I just started a dream of what this was going to be. And we're not all the way there yet, but we're a lot closer than when we started. So
when was it maybe you looked and you saw that all this work that you've been pouring in, was there that epiphany moment when you looked and it finally dawned on you, wow, we've really built something great with the soccer program? Did you have that moment? Are you still waiting for that moment or what?
Wow, I've had so many of those moments throughout the years, Tom. Honestly, just, as it grew and different things, happened, when we got our new field, I mean, that was a huge thing. Just the other day, I was out spraying the field and it got dark and I had to turn the lights on to finish spraying. And I got done spraying and I parked the gator over beside the new bleachers, brand new bleachers. If you haven't seen them, it's amazing. I didn't even turn around. I just walked up to the top of the bleachers and I turned around and sat down on the 10th row. And I can't lie, I started tearing up. I mean, it was like, wow, to think that we started, with a piece of paper and 25 kids' names. And our first year, we had a pair of baseball socks, basketball shorts, and Dots Sporting Goods. Remember Dots? They had one soccer jersey available to buy, and that's what we had. We just had to wear one jersey. We told everybody we're the white team, and that's all we got. But we've come from that to where we are now, and it's been an amazing ride, and I've really enjoyed it. It's taken a lot of people and a lot of hard work to get here, and I'm so grateful, and I'm not done. I'd like to keep going, so.
Soccer has always been a big international sport, more popular everywhere else, it seemed like, than America was. Do you think America's finally caught on, and do you think that – I don't think we're to the level of many, many other countries. Are we getting there?
Popularity-wise, it's getting very popular. A lot of people here are supporting English soccer.
Sure.
They have days where they will, celebrate kind of like, the Big Ten showdown or something like that. It would be like that for soccer. And you should see the crowds. They had it in Nashville just this past spring, and huge crowds. There's so many fans of English soccer, as well as MLS, as well as college soccer is getting bigger.
Right.
World Cup is always, huge. And that's coming to the United States here coming up, the next one. So there's lots of growth in the sport. But I want to say in DeKalb County, the growth. We're coming upon an era that's going to be really special, and I've been looking forward to it. We're coming to the point where my former players' kids are playing soccer.
Yeah.
And so you look at our rec league, it's being coached and run by former players. And the middle school team has some former players' kids on that. And that era is coming where the fans in the stands will have played soccer and the grandparents will have brought their kids up through soccer. And so that's going to be a really exciting time. And I'm really hope that I can, hold out through that and really get to enjoy that. We started out with fans that had no clue, and now we're getting fans that, they're soccer enthusiasts. So that's exciting.
It's so important for a high school football coach to have a middle school program, and then you have a middle school program that uses your same terminology and your same system. Basically, it's not yours, but it is your rec league. And you coach in it probably 3 or 4 or 5 teams, and your former players coach 3 or 4 or 5 teams. So it's the same philosophy, the same system of coaching, offense, defense, that not only goes from there, but goes to middle school with Coach Noakes and Coach Cameron, and then it gets up to you, and they're former players. So it's the same system and philosophy from the get-go. How important is that to the success you have at your high school team?
Extremely important. And Coach, I like to win. You coached me, and I like to win. And one thing you taught me was if you want to win, you not only have to try harder, but you also have to play smarter. And so early on in my career, I realized that I can't start in 9th grade and compete with the Chattanooga Christians and the Notre Dames of soccer. I can't start with 9th graders and get there. So I realized that, I was already involved in the rec league, but I'm going to have to build this rec league to build players for me. So it's going to have to get organized. I'm going to have to be involved in that. And then I really knew I had to start a middle school program. And so I went to Randy Jennings, he was the principal at the middle school. And I said, Randy, I need to start a middle school team. I said, I just need your permission. I'll take care of everything. I'll handle it. And he said, well, I need a 5-year plan of how you're going to do this. And I thought, I started the high school program with a piece of paper. You want a 5-year plan? I think I can handle this. I was a little bit upset, to be honest with you, but that was actually the greatest thing that someone could tell me. he really, gave me good guidance in that. And so Justin Oaks became my 5-year plan. He was going to school. He'd played for me, and he was going to school to be a teacher. And I started talking to him. I said, would you be interested, maybe coaching soccer? And he thought, yeah, that's a great thing. So we were able to get him on board to be an assistant coach with us early on before he even graduated college so that he could get ready. And then as soon as he came out of college to start, got the job at the middle school, we went to our booster club and said, we're starting a middle school soccer team. And we're going to buy them everything they need, and we're going to get them set up. Awesome. And they're going to join us, and we're going to have one program from 6th grade to 12th grade. And that has been such a blessing. It has. These coaches, we have Justin Oaks and Cameron Lester and Ricardo Gutierrez, all 3 former players, coach in the middle school. And like you said, the terminology is the same. The expectations are the same. It's one family really all the way up through.
A little bit about Kleparek Field. How did it come about? And I'm doing this with a purpose, okay? So eye connection here because I know he has things he still wants to get accomplished, but he's probably going to need your help.
Yes.
But you get the field, you get permission to use the field, and then so you do all you need to do to get it ready, and it's a large, full, much larger than what you used to play on. And then you get your dugouts, basically. And then you get your bleachers. And what else do you have in mind? And where's this program going with your field and your stadium?
Well, first off, I'm very grateful for the field to be named after me. That's unexpected. And actually, they came and asked me if I was okay with it. And I said no. And then they just did it anyway. Because usually people have to at least retire or die before you do that. And I was like, you trying to get rid of me or something? But it's such an honor to be named in the same group with, like you named earlier, the Braswell and the Luna and Coach Bond. He was one of my mentors. He doesn't realize he was my mentor, but he worked right alongside of me on the field next door, and I looked up to him so much and how to build a program and so forth. And what an honor to Coach Reeder to get named after him as well. Yes. So that part of it is still surreal to me that I have a name on the field. But the field itself, what a blessing. A lot of hard work by a lot of people to get where we're at. We were able to purchase the land and build the field. And as Chris had mentioned, our field is bigger than the football field where we played before. A lot of people don't realize that soccer, the field could be from 55 to 85 yards wide. So there's a range there. Imagine, Kelly, you play basketball. Imagine if the court was that much variance, yes. It would be a huge difference. And so we were playing on the minimum at the football field. We were playing at 55 by 116 because we had to come back from the goalpost to put in our goals. So we've built our field to 65 yards wide and 120 yards long. So it's considerably bigger, which allows us to spread out and play a better game of soccer because we're not so cramped up and you can move the ball better and things, which is adjustment. You have to teach your players to play to that. And it also prepares us for going to other fields. If you're going to go to a bigger field, you need to be prepared for that. And then a smaller field, you also need to be prepared. Our practice field is a little smaller, so that gives us, both areas that we get to work at. As far as what's going, the field's, rapidly improving. We just got lights a couple years ago. We've built dugouts. We've just got the bleachers in this year. We're looking this fall to build bathrooms and concession stand. So that's going to be a big improvement. Right now we've got porta potties, which is an embarrassment, but it is what it is, and you've got what you've got. And like Steve mentioned, we're a small town, and we've got to, slowly build. So it's continuing to grow, and I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm proud of where we're going, and I really am grateful to the community for all the support. You go out there and look at the signs. They've got the fences covered in signs. We've got, so many sponsors and so many people that are just readily, able to support us, and we're so grateful for that.
We've got Coach Dylan Kleparek of DeKalb County High School Soccer as our guest on DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. I certainly want to get into this this year's team, the girls soccer team this year, and I was kind of scouring down your roster. It looks like you've got 5 seniors as your coach, and you were talking about this special group you got coming up. Has it started yet? That second generation? Have you sort of matriculated some of that into the current roster yet?
Well, it has started. We actually had a girl graduate already who got a soccer scholarship, and her dad had played for me on the early teams.
Yeah.
So we have made it through. It is starting to, come up through the list. Currently on the roster, we don't really have anyone that, is in that boat, but the middle school has some, so it's coming up through that way.
So looking at your team as a whole this year, and I know you got off, it looks like I guess you got started against Lebanon and 1-1 thus far on the season. What have you liked about your team so far? What really sticks out about the character of the team and the overall makeup of it?
Well, I'll say I've got a great group of girls. These girls are just fantastic people. And when you have great people, it's easy to coach. They are hungry to get better, and they are working hard. We have like you said, 5 seniors. We're also starting 2 freshmen. So, it's a wide range of talent and skill and ability. My motto has always been best player plays. So I don't care what grade you're in or, so forth. I'm going to play the best player, and my players know that and they respect that. And so we've got a great group of girls, but we've got a wide range of, talent and experience. And so as the season goes on, I expect to see growth because, that talent and experience will get better and better. And, we'll see improvements. We kind of started out this season a little bit rough. Our first preseason game was against Riverdale. And we came out, and the first 11 minutes of the game, we played defense. And so we just stayed on our end of the field playing defense for 11 minutes, and our girls were intimidated. They're like, there's more girls in that school graduating than we have in our whole school, And I said, yes, but they got 11 on the field. That's all they've got, 11 girls, and we've got 11 girls, and we're going to, give them the best we got. The first time we crossed the midline, Tom, we scored. The first time we went over the midline, Catherine Knowles took it down, scored. Our whole team went, oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
We beat them 6-4.
Wow.
And we had them 6-2 until about 10 minutes left in the game or 5 minutes left in the game. So we just flipped a switch and decided we could play. And when we do that, we're going to be pretty good. So I'm excited about that. Then we start the regular season with Lebanon, who is, that's a big school. And they have had program for a long time. And they just have girls that can do things that we don't just yet. So it was a tough match, but we learned some stuff from it and improved from it.
Something I wanted to ask you strategy-wise, like when people talk about football, we got a great quarterback, so we might throw the ball more. We got a great running back. Soccer, how does that affect you with the kind of players you have? I mean, do you have to look at your overall roster and say, okay, we're going to be a good offensive team, we're going to be this, that? How does that work in soccer, just kind of that mindset?
That's a great question. We have formations in soccer. So kind of similar to basketball, you might run a box and one or, so-and-so call your formation. And that's based on usually the players you have, what you can fit in. And that's the same way it is in soccer. So our formation is based on the players we have. So we're going to get the best 11 on the field and have subs that can fit into a formation. So currently, we're running a formation that's pretty unique in that we have 2 forwards, but they both also can come back and play in the midfield. So we're using that as a kind of a switch that's really working well for us. Strong defense. I'm starting 2 freshmen on defense, but you wouldn't know they're freshmen to watch them. And 2 good leaders in the center on defense. So, you really have to have a balance. If you're an all defensive team, you're going to play defense all week, and that's not good. You're going to be stuck on defense. So,
okay, for the one that I've watched soccer. I dated a guy that played soccer in college.
You can spell soccer.
I can spell soccer, but okay. So do players play? Is it like hockey in the sense that you have some people that just play defense to play offense? Do you rotate? Do they rotate like hockey? Like, can you run them in and out, or do you have to? Tell us that don't know about soccer some of your like how you sub in and the defense and offense part.
Right. Okay. So subbing is a lot like basketball, where we sub on stoppages of play. So if the ball goes out of bounds, the difference is, though, we can only sub if it's a stoppage in our advantage. So if the ball goes out of bounds and we have a throw in from the sideline, we can sub, but they can't unless we're both subbing. So if I'm subbing and it's my throw in and they have players there ready to sub, they can as well. But if I'm throwing and I don't have anyone there at the line, their players can't come in.
Okay.
So there's substitutions come from the line, not like hockey where you just run them in and run them out. The players generally do kind of have, positional responsibilities. So we have players that mostly play just defense. Now, it's not against the rules for them to run up and score. We can score with our defenders. It's just, in general, they're better. They're more defensive-minded people, so
they're
they
not the
play
shooters.
Right. Yeah, and then you have the more offensive, aggressive, attacking people. So those players are probably more like your shooters on your basketball team, and then you got your midfield. That's more like your point guard. That's the distributor, the person that moves the ball around the field well. So, and all of those players can fill in any role at any time, and everyone plays defense and everyone plays offense, but your positioning kind of dictates more of what you're better at.
Gotcha. See, I know a little bit more now.
Now you're going to have to go out and watch.
Yeah, you need to come
during
out
the
and watch.
season. So
I'm going to make those attempts to come and watch everything. It's just
back
when you drive a bus and you coach yourself,
and you're raising kids. And
I remember back. I think when I was at the Review as sports editor. I knew nothing at all about soccer, and I went to Coach K, and we actually, I think, did a series of kind of educational things. Because I'm like, there are a lot of people like me that don't understand a lot of this. And even back then, man, you had just such a great overall knowledge. I'd have to tell him, dummy it down a little more because, hey, I got to understand it, for me. And then to write about it, there is a lot of terminology. But the good thing that you're talking about now that we're a generation into this thing, I think more and more people have kind of got a better grasp on the sport. But there are a lot of nuances it takes a while to understand.
Yeah. Really, honestly, there's only about 11 rules to the game. It's a pretty simple game. But there are a lot of little nuances that happen here and there. I always laugh because people say, well, I know football and I know baseball, but soccer is so difficult to understand. There are so many rules in football. It's unreal. I'm a football player and I know football, and I sit with people like Kelly, you sit at the game, somebody has to explain to you. I sit with them and explain it to them. And I think they have trouble understanding soccer. We got a group of people just trying to kick a ball in a goal, right? I mean, it's pretty easy game to follow. So
I was doing my physical. I drive a school bus, so we do our yearly physicals with Dr. Tobin, and he was telling me that his daughter played soccer, and he said, I think she just does it because I can't. She says, me and Amy can't yell at her because we have no clue what's going on. We're just out there going, good job, good job.
You should come to a game with Amy and see if she don't yell.
Well, I'm sure she does now. But this was back 3 or 4 years ago. I think she may have been a freshman. I think she's graduated. She graduated?
Caroline has, yes, but her younger daughter still plays.
And so I think it was Caroline. He was like, we're learning as we go. And I was like, I said, I can see kids gravitating to that because their parents can't fuss at them, and it is something new. Like, kids will learn something new, they pick it up really quick, and I think it's great that they have that outlet for the kids that don't want to play, don't want to do golf, or don't want to do football. They have an option. Now, my question is, I have another question: is it easier to coach the girls or the boys?
Oh, wow, that's a great question too. First off, I want to say this: Kelly, you would have been a great soccer player.
I think all I've done is try to kick somebody.
You would have been a great soccer player.
She would have been.
She would have been. Yeah, if you've been around the game, yes. I'm sorry, I forgot the question. What was it?
Girls or boys?
Girls or boys, yes. So they're really like coaching two different sports, to be honest. It's the same game, but the players are so different, and how they react and how they respond to what you say. And growing up as a boy, obviously, and being coached as a boy, you can yell at a boy and tell him he sucks, and he'll try to prove you wrong. And you yell at a girl and tell her she sucks, she says, "Oh, I suck," and she walks off. So you really got to coach them differently. I really enjoy coaching the girls. The loyalty and the dedication to the team and the just willingness to do what the coach says is so great coaching girls, as opposed to coaching boys where they kind of want to do their own thing and they're kind of out for themselves a lot of times. And it's a different sport.
Well, I've known Dad has always said, where he coached the boys and the girls, he says, you can take a girls team that has heart and emotion and will play with those emotions and beat anybody. He says, now boys, sometimes you just got to have talent. And he says, but girls, he says, you can find something in them that'll, and it is hard. I've coached both boys and girls, and it's a little easier to coach the boys because you're just coaching athletic ability, and you just got to, rein them in some. With girls, you really have to motivate and push them and know which buttons to push and which girl you can push buttons on. I mean, some girls you can yell at like that, and some girls you can't. And I could see where it must be a different way of looking at a season every year. Like, I'm going to have easy this one, and this one I'm going to have to push. And
oh, absolutely. And that's really with each team as well. Like, you kind of know what you got coming back, but you don't really know what you have until you get them together. And especially with the girls, the dynamic of how they interact with each other is so important. like you said, in the boys, talent is talent. And you put, the 11 most talented players out there and you kind of get them all go in the same direction, you'll see that talent shine. With the girls, the emotion is so big, how they feel today, how they are, tied to each other. This girl playing next to that girl might not be a good idea, whereas this girl playing next to another girl is a fabulous idea, and so just, how you piece that together and get them together. But again, it's also very rewarding because just seeing the joy that they get out of being together. I mean, they have so much fun at a water break. It's amazing. Just to sit there and listen to them, and I think sometimes they forget that I'm their coach, and they start talking about things that you're like, you're supposed to be talking about that with me around here. But I just have to walk. Yeah, I'm going to set up a drill. But they have so much fun together, and it's exciting and fun to be a part of.
Y'all have both kind of talked about maybe a ignorance or a lack of knowledge concerning soccer, and it's understandable. Football coach, and way back in the day, that was the communist sport. But it's communist. I'm not watching. I'm not promoting nothing. Daughter quit playing t-ball, coach pitch, whatever it was, and we got to do something. And Carly jumped into soccer out of the blue. Where'd that come from? Soccer. So she started, and she started up in this rec league, and Russ was her first coach, and he used to coach over at Cannon, and he's had kids come through here. His daughter played here for Coach K. And so she comes up through the middle school system with Noakes and Lester, and then she gets to the high school. That has meant more to her through that structure and that stability, and especially with him at the high school level. But as a former football coach who was forced to get in and attend these games, if you'll do that, if you'll have a kid and invest it, and if you'll go to those rec league games, those middle school games, you will grow to love the sport as my wife and I have. And our son came up later and played his junior and senior year of high school, and was fortunate enough to be on the team, maybe one of the two best teams that ever have come through here. But you may think it's that communist sport until you invest a little bit, and then you're going to grow to love it. I can tell you that much.
My son has gotten into fishing, and he is now on the junior high fishing team. And I tell my husband, I said, I think he does it because we can't go out there on the boat. We can't tell him anything. But you're right. I mean, like, now I'm into fishing, and, like, if I'm at my daughter's game and he's fishing, I'm on Facebook trying to watch the weigh-in live and calling and asking the guy that drives the boat for him. I'm like, did they catch anything? I'm all excited over fishing.
What is it? Do you have your own little fish finder? Do you monitor that while they're going?
That's our problem. We are the fish at the pond people, and we're going up against these people that have the fish finder, and I don't know, they must have sonar or a call. I said, why don't y'all just go catch some at the pond and take them with you? I said, and my son's like, you can't do that, Mom. And I'm like, see, in soccer, I've always said that I probably would have loved soccer, but somebody would have took the ball from me, and so I'd have spent the whole game trying to kick them for taking the ball from me, and I would have gotten thrown out because I was so aggressive at things. But now I hung out with all the soccer girls in college, and they had a good time, and we would go and watch the games. I had no clue what was going on, but we would go and watch their games and stuff, and I can see where it's a good sport, especially if you want to run. And I mean, if you enjoy, there's an outlet. Do you have a lot of cross country kids also play soccer, or do you have to share those athletes? Or
we have in the past. It's difficult to do cross country as a girls soccer player because they're going on at the same time, and like the practices and the games and all that conflicts. But we have had a lot of cross country runners to play soccer. If I asked you to go out and run for 2 hours, you'd probably be like, "That's just dumb," right? But if you go ahead and play basketball for 2 hours, you do it easily, right? It's kind of the same thing with soccer. People say, well, you run so much. And we go 40 minutes before halftime and there's no timeouts. Mm-hmm. So you're running for 40 minutes. But when you're chasing a ball, when you're playing a game, you're not thinking about that. If I put a tracker on those athletes, they're running miles and miles. Mm-hmm. But if I wouldn't ask them to run, those miles, they're like, I'm quitting. I'm out. This ain't happening. So it's just that competitive nature and gets you involved in the game, and you're running, you don't think about it, and once you get to where you love the game, and you love the strategy and the, complexity and also the simplicity of it at the same time, it's exciting. I mean,
I would, like I said, I'd have been the enforcer. I'd have been wanting to fight somebody in high school, like, 'cause you took the ball from me.
Yeah. The last 2 minutes of a basketball game when it's close, it's so exciting because one basket could make the difference. One play could make the difference. In soccer, one goal can be the difference. And so you're sitting there on the edge of your seat every time the ball gets on your end or every time the ball gets on their end. It's just that one goal could be the difference. And so, that excitement is there. I watch basketball and I love basketball. I love to support the kids and stuff. But the first quarter is kind of a waste a lot, or the game's over at the end of the first quarter sometimes,
Yes.
So you think about that. I'm getting attacked by a fly.
Yeah, that fly, I noticed.
but
he's a soccer fan.
Yeah, I guess.
Coach, as we look at the district this year, and let's kind of take a look at the season, your expectations, I know your district's changed just a little bit, but it's a lot of the area teams. What are your expectations for your squad this year, and what's your district look like?
So we have a pretty strong district, traditionally. We kind of have the same district as, most of our other, baseball, softball, basketball. In our district, there's always that upper group, and then that it's kind of split, in the middle. If you can finish in the top 3, you've got a pretty good chance of moving on. The top 2 move to region. So we're always fighting to try to get in that top group, and we've done a pretty good job of that. We went to region last year and played in the district championship and got to advance to the region. This year, I would say Livingston is probably the team to beat, and Cumberland County always has a strong team, so they're tough. Stone Memorial has a new coach, but they've got good quality athletes, and the coach is very knowledgeable, so I expect them to be pretty tough. And Watertown has got a new coach. The coach from Cannon County had moved to Watertown, so he's got some soccer experience, and they've got some good athletes. So, I expect them to, continue to grow. So really all the teams in our district, have a good chance of, performing well. And like I said, we just, try to take each game at a time and, work our way through. And, we're hoping to finish in that top 3 in the regular season and then, move on, get to the district championship, move on to region. So it's just a growth mindset. You start out where you're at, and you try to work to be your best at the end. So,
you started off with Lebanon. Now, when I look at your non-district schedule, you play in the Smoky Mountain Cup, and I think y'all have done that quite a few years now. It looks like you play some teams too, some comparable, some bigger. Do you always try to load that non-district part of your schedule up with some good quality teams, and does that help prepare you for some of those really tough district matches?
Absolutely. If Livingston's going to be the toughest team we play all year, we don't have a chance at beating them. We have to play tough competition to get better. I put Lebanon at the beginning of the year on purpose to see what we needed to work on, and that really helped us, And we went to Jackson County, which we're kind of the Lebanon to Jackson County, in terms of size of school. They played a really smart game. They put their whole team basically back on defense, and they had 9 people in front of the goal, and we couldn't get through the blue wall.
Wow.
So we ended up beating them 1-0, but we dominated the game. It took us 75 minutes to get a goal, and it was tough. And they had some chances. They were taking their chances to get down the field when they could, but they would just send 1 or 2 down the field and just hold everybody back, which made it really tough on us. That's a style of play. That's kind of a thing that people do, sometimes, and you have to get ready to beat that as well. So, each game is a learning experience and how to, better perform and so forth. So,
well, I'll tell you what, go out and watch soccer like Coach Vance was saying. It won't take you long. If you've never watched a sport, it won't take you long to get addicted to it because it is really fun and every goal really does matter. I mean, it's an exciting sport to just to be there and be part of.
It's like watching hockey. I'm going to start watching hockey, and I know that goals are scarce. So if I blink or if I go to the kitchen for a minute, I'm going to miss that goal, and I'm going to be so mad. So like Coach K talks about, that first goal, as opposed to being the last minute of basketball, if that first goal happens in the first 5 minutes, then it's pins and needles for the remaining 75 minutes, whatever you've got, to see if it's going to hold up.
Yeah.
It's go watch.
Two big district matches on the road this week at Upperman coming up on Tuesday. If I mess this up, I'm going by the schedule that I think I pulled offline at. Stone Memorial coming up on Thursday. DeKalb County will be back home non-district against Tullahoma on Monday the 26th, and a home district match with White County coming up on the 29th. Plenty of opportunities to come out and see the Lady Tiger soccer team. Coach Dylan Kleparek, thank you so much. What was planned to be an hour broadcast has gone to 2 hours now. Wow. So we sure appreciate you coming out, and We're going to be talking to you more throughout the season. We'd love to have some of your players on as well. And good luck to the soccer program. We're excited about the season.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. And I'm looking forward to getting some athletes out here and letting them talk as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to wrap it up for this first ever edition. Finally, everybody's out there saying they're done talking. First ever edition of DC Blitz, presented by DeKalb County Insurance. Thanks again to Coach K, Coach Steve Trapp, John Pryor for joining us. For the Coach Chris Vance, for Kelly, I'm Tom Duggin. See ya.